Hi everyone, hope you're keeping well. So I've just got to speak to Oli Brown, of course, of Raven Eye and his solo work fame. He's got a brand new project, Dead Collective, which from the teaser that I've heard of his track Haunted, which he released in part of the announcement of the Dead Collective. He released a little teaser video, you might have seen that. Sounds absolutely killer. I can't wait to hear the full album. Oli's obviously clearly very passionate about it. We spoke a lot about the album, the themes behind that, where he was when he wrote it in terms of his headspace and how the project came to be, all the stuff he's got lined up for the future, of course, including the album release, an EP called Solitude, which will feature acoustic renditions and string quartets and all that kind of taking the songs from the album in a slightly different direction. Live shows including Heretic Fest and Steelhouse Live, along with my good friends Florence Black. And you can hear everything Oli had to say right now. And we're joined by Oli Brown. How you keeping, mate?
Good, dude. How you doing?
Yeah, good, man. Good. So we're here. You recently announced, obviously, the new project, Oli Brown and the Dead Collective. Where the idea for the project come about? What made it separate to your other projects you got ongoing?
I think it came a lot from, I guess, lockdown. Like, I think having a lot of free time and not being able to tour. I originally wanted to make a blues record again and kind of go back a bit more to my roots and just do something to kind of, I guess, fill the gap, I guess, since we couldn't tour or do anything. And then it just ended up starting to shape into being something a lot different than I really planned out to be. I think at that point, my creativity was at a high for me where I just felt like I was writing a lot and just a lot was coming out and I was kind of just rolling with it. I don't usually tend to wait for inspiration when I write songs because I just feel like it's a lazy excuse to say you can't be asked to write a song. Like, I like to kind of keep that muscle working and spend my time writing as much as I can. And then for some reason, everything just started connecting, but it ended up being a lot heavier than I intended. And not so much in just big epic riffs, but more just, I think the lyric, but also just the sounds were a bit more ambitious than just being like a, bass, guitar, drums, kind of bluesy roots record. It ended up being a lot more alternative and I ended up getting a lot more creative with it. I think my first listen of the whole thing, I realized, oh, I could do a lot more. So then I started putting some synth soundscapes on it, piano on it, and it kind of became a lot bigger as it kind of grew.
So did you purely go intend to do? Obviously, you did the unreleased EP, Blues EP 2020. Did you go into sort of follow that with a more blues thing, and then it just sort of like say developed, or did you just?
Yeah, well, like the unreleased EP thing was, it's because I had those songs for a while actually. Like they were just like they were recorded ages ago at a studio, way back when I was meant to be making a blues record, but then that turned into Raven Eye, and loads of the songs got ditched. But those songs ended up just doing nothing, and I'm at that point like. Lockdown just happened, finances were just kind of, well, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I love mixing. I was like, well, I've actually got the raw mud tracks of the song. So I was like, oh, I'm going to remix it and just put a fresh vocal on it. So re-sung all the vocal performances and put some fresh guitar solos. So it felt like it's a bit of a modern kind of mix.
Yeah.
And then I think that kind of just felt like completely unrelated to that. I felt like at that point, it was just trying to kind of sort my finances out a little bit and support me. As at that point, I had no idea and no real intention of making a full album, like anything like that, really.
Yeah. So, excuse the ignorance on my part, but is Raven Eye still active, or is that sort of on the while?
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, we haven't really said much on it, so it's not new at all. I think right now it's lights out. I think there's a lot going on in the background, but also just the whole band, like in terms of just this other album as well, recording it. The after events of what happened after recording the album, everything like that, I think it took its toll a lot on me for my headspace and my mental health, and I think it became really quite destructive, constantly trying to feel like, I don't know, it caused a lot of grief for me in my headspace. So it's one of those things I've had to reluctantly like step away from to kind of rebuild myself, because it really turned me off music entirely. There was a point where I just was ready to just call it. I think because of how sick I was getting and how ill it was making me, just trying to figure out, how to release it, whether we can, or what's really going to happen with all the changes. And I just got sick of fighting it, I think. So it's with a heavy heart. Like, it's my life and blood, the band came from a song I wrote way back when I was like, I want to do something a bit different. So it's painful to really, kind of come to terms with, but
I can imagine.
Yeah, so it's semi out of my hands, but also just, I guess, taking care of myself and realizing that I've kind of, music can't always take care of me. I've got to step away from it and have a better make sure I'm taking care of my headspace a bit more.
Yeah, that's one of the most important things in life, man, is to look after yourself, both physically and mentally. So yeah,
Totally.
and if it's not doing you any good and you're making yourself that ill, then there is time to step away, no matter what it is, or certainly try another avenue anyway.
Yeah, and it wasn't that because I think my concern when I was looking at announcing the Dead Collective is that people, or it was going to get perceived as being something that, oh, he's moved on, and that he's just kind of given up on the whole thing. It is a difficult thing to announce because obviously there's not much said about the Raven Eye stuff, but it's completely, yeah, it's not that I've walked away from it. It's something that just kind of came together quite strangely, and the Dead Collective, and it just made sense for me to dig in a bit more because that's what was kind of giving me the lease of life to really put my music in back into my priorities again.
Fair play. I mean, you put the teaser up with a haunted clip out on there.
Yeah.
I love the sound of that, man. Only from the lyric that's up there, it sounds, obviously, given what you were just saying about mental health, like it's a very personal record that's going to be released here, man. And that,
it is. Like, I mean, I'm really excited. I think we're trying to figure out the right team to put it out with, and I'm kind of anxious to just put it out there because I've got loads more that I'm writing anyway. And I think it is a very personal album, and there's a lot of kind of. I think that's why I really wanted to talk about my mental health publicly in the first place when announcing a bit more information about the Dead Collective, because really that's where this band's kind of come from and what helped me get into a better space. And I feel like if I'm going to be that open in my lyric, that I want to be that open just personally towards people and kind of share my experience with my struggles and kind of, I guess, feel more comfortable being open about it all, because I'm poor at communication at the best of times. Yeah. And I feel like if I'm holding myself a bit more accountable publicly, then I can feel like I'm taking better care of myself as well. So I'm excited about it. Haunted is a song that kind of started the whole thing, really. If it wasn't like Haunted, that whole song and the whole soundscape of that song came a week before a big attack of mine. And I think I said in the post, like my subconscious is a bit more aware of my consciousness. So I think something was going on in the back of my head, and the back of my head was like, cool, let's turn this into music and like, let's create something. And I don't think I really put the two and two together and realized that I needed to take better care of myself. And it's the band, it's a heavy record, but I think because of the way the songs are, I'm working on new versions of them as well. So they've actually got a string player called Joe Quayle. And cool. We've done an arrangement together of a full stringed acoustic version of the song. And I love it. And that's the main thing I really wanted to focus on with this band, is that it's not just all out rock, that I can do a tour where it's me and a string player and, an acoustic player. And we do like kind of more unique venues, so more like, not churches, like kind of hall rooms, so you can really feel the acoustic ambience. But I don't want to be too limited in terms of the facilities of instrumentation. I really like the idea that these songs can be malleable into other forms of soundscapes.
That's great, man. I love it when the artists do that and completely break stuff down and like take it in another direction. I remember when I went to see Rival Sons at the UEA, and they did like a blues grass mini set halfway through.
No way.
Yeah, they kind of did it just in Norwich because they were playing a date in Norwich, and I went up for that. And Jay Buchanan, he had something going on, something had happened in his family. They never really released what's going on, but he cut the set short. Like they did 3 songs, and you could see when he was singing that he wasn't in a good space. And I said to my wife, Joe, I'm like, he's not well. He's either not well or he's, something's bothering him. And he sort of said, look, I'm really sorry. I've never done this before. Something's happened. It's too much. I've got to go. But we'll make up to you. And then they came back, I think it was about 6 months later, maybe 9 months later, something like that. And he said, look, we're going to do something very special. We're doing it just here. And this is my thank you, because I left a piece of myself, as he put it, I left a piece of myself on this stage when I was last here, and I've come to get it back. And they did like a 6-song bluesgrass set right in the middle of it, and he was just singing completely a cappella. Scott Holiday was just on like steel slide on like a resonator, double bass, and just a cigar box for Mikey. And it was just like, and they took all like the Rival songs that I love and just completely took them on another journey, man. So yeah, I love it when artists do that. So that sounds really cool.
I remember that gig happening. I think I was in Norwich at the time playing a show the day before or something like that. All about that. That when he pulled off after the 3 songs. That's wicked. They came back and did something like that. I mean, they're a band that can do it. Like you can hear that those songs can be taken in so many different ways. Like they're just, I mean, Jay's voice is just otherworldly. I mean, the whole band are otherworldly. They're just forced upon themselves, really.
Definitely. But mind you, like, talk about Norwich, that was the first time I saw you, was at the Blueberry, and I want to say 2007, 2008, something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's like pretty much where I got my first deal, was from the Blueberry, because the record label was down at that gig. Yeah, and that's when I got the first, like, signed to Roof Records. Was he came down there to check us out at the Blueberry.
Oh, nice.
That's so funny, like, because I haven't talked about the Blueberry till the Crow's Cast on Tuesday, and it's just so funny that it's like in the week that the Blueberries come up twice. Like, it was a great place at the jam nights there.
I used to love going down. I used to go down there for the jam nights myself a lot, and yeah, we should, if we weren't jamming, we went down to watch whoever was, sort of thing. And now it's the first time I remember seeing you, man. So yeah, it's been a
long while.
It's been a while. I had hair then, so it was definitely a long time ago.
But no, it's wicked, man. It's wicked to be it's just wicked thinking about those kind of back then as well. Like the Blueberry was just such a special.
It was a great little venue though. I love places like that, and it was
it was that and the Walnut Tree Shades.
Yes,
like Chris Gudgeon was taking care of it. That was a wicked spot.
It's a bugger to get you, for our drummers, to get drum kits down into the Walnut Tree Shades, but
and like the little stage, like the barrier, like
So I've been I've been following for a while, man. So I'm really excited to see what's coming from you, mate. I can't deny that. Obviously you've got some live shows already lined up with obviously Heretic Fest and doing the Steelhouse live shows as well. You got anything else lined up that way, or you just
at that point? Yeah, at that point, that's just that for now. Like, I think we're just trying to figure out because the album's like, it's so hard to really sell and like put it forward to people, because obviously there's no real song out. So I think I'm trying to discuss right now about putting out a song so people can hear what the vibe is, because of course it's great to have a major release for everything, but I think in my own head, I think for the short term I'd like to release a song. So I think we're just discussing now about putting a song out to give people the vibe of where the sound's coming from. I'm fighting for Haunted because I think starts the whole journey and explains it, but then it also means I can put out the acoustic string version sooner as well, because I'm pumped for that one. Like, it's ready, and I think that's what we're really looking for at the moment, is just to give something to people to kind of get behind and understand like what the sound is and what the band is. So at this point in time, it's those 2 festivals, and then it's just like, let's figure out the release. Let's figure out as much as we can. And I've got rehearsals lined up, because it's a 4-piece band. So it's a completely different band. And as a singer, it's pretty taxing, this album. It's a lot of vocal performance. So I'm like trying to teach myself how to sing again, and like get my vocal chops up again, so I can like deliver a full gig.
Well, the thing is, no one's done a gig for 2 years, so everybody's not exactly match fit, are they? So
no, dude. Honestly, I played Steelhouse with Raven and I last year in July, and I think it was July, but it was I couldn't believe like how unfit I was for singing. Like, I was doing fine halfway through the gig. I'm like, oh, this isn't too bad. And then all of a sudden, like, I jumped down off something and I went to like just sing with the mic, and my range just went completely, because my breath went. I was like, oh man, I haven't got anything right now. I've got nothing in me. So I started like pointing the mic, saying, "Oh, sing this bit. Like, it's you're a lie. It's 3 words. You can do it, please. Like, someone
help."
Yeah.
I remember with my own festival, Just Push Play, I had the Crows headlining, and I was sort of backstage making sure everyone else is okay. Crows were on, and Shane did his thing of sort of running around the venue and all this. And Shane like came out, and he was just me and him, and I went, "You all right, Shane?" He's like, "I'm fucking knackered." But like, he's like, "I've just got to go do it." And like, fair play to Shane, if he hadn't told me he was knackered, I wouldn't have known. So
yeah. I think you surprise yourself with how fit you are in those gigs. Like, you're kind of tune, like, you just get used to that thing. But yeah, 2 years off the road, it's like, I think I've got to do a lot of exercise the next month or so, and a lot of running to kind of get my capacity back, because otherwise I'm going to be passing out at these shows, I think.
So when you were recording the album, was it the same musicians on the album that you're using in the live band, or was it more so yourself building it up? Or
no, it's more so. I mean, it's myself. Wayne Proctor is the drummer for the record, and
cool.
He was a big part of the whole thing. He was kind of the one that was really urging me to get this record done. Like, he was pushing me to say, look, man, like,
Yeah.
let's finish up the shape. And like, he helped kind of, you know, I don't think it would have been the record if it, well, it wouldn't have been the record it is if it wasn't for him and what he kind of inspired me to do. Like, he's always been good. We have a good working relationship where we push each other in a positive environment. You know, it's one of those special relationships. And for like, it's kind of a different band throughout, really. I think I'm hesitant to really commit to a full band, so that's why it's Oli Brown and the Dead Collective rather than the Dead Collective. Yes. So I play bass on one of the tracks because we couldn't quite get the bass player to play it right, and I play the synth part. Like, I recorded a lot of the synth parts myself on the record. Cool. So, but we had our mate Andy where we recorded all the album at Superfly Studios. Andy was playing piano on the record as well, because it was proper like a mishmash of different people that were available at the time or that wanted to be a part of it. And, you know, some things didn't work out, so we took them off, and it's quite fluid. And I think for, at least for the time being, the lineup and the players will be quite fluid until, I guess, for the foreseeable future. I'm really just, it's myself and Wayne that are going to be the kind of solid foundations, because I know that those parts can't ever change. I mean, yeah, of course myself, but Wayne as well. Like, you know, a lot of the parts that are written are very synonymous to his playing, and it was cool to kind of get more of an alternative drummer out of him than the you know, the bluesier side, because he's known more for his blues rock, and this is not anything like this record. And it's cool to kind of hear him play as a different drummer and sound a lot more unique, in my opinion, as a player. I think he adds a lot to the band with what.
So will Wayne be coming out with you on the shows and stuff as well?
Yeah. So he's as much in this as I am in a way. So he's fully committed. But bass player and guitarist are going to be quite fluid. We've got Sam from the Wayward Sons actually playing guitar for the first two shows for
nice.
Heretic and Steelhouse, which is wicked because he's a sweetheart as well.
He is. So. He's an absolute diamond. I've had the pleasure of meeting Sam a few times over the years. And
Diamond. He's lovely. So we're sending him the tracks right now. I'm sending him the guitar parts that he's got to learn. And we've got a bass player that played in half the record. He's taken over the rest of it as well, which is, he's a killer player as well.
Oh, sweet, man. Sounds like you got, I mean, I'm coming down to Heretic Fest, so I'm looking forward to the set, bud. So.
Oh, sick. Yeah, I think we're like trying to work out like how much pyrotechnics can we get in this show. And like, man, it's a wicked festival. I'm really excited for it. Like, it's going to be nice to just, I think what I love about festivals is just the hangs and seeing all the other bands. Like,
definitely.
Headlines and supports are really fun, but festivals, I think especially festivals like these, you get so much more time with everyone. And I think especially after everyone being away from each other for the last 2 years and stuff, it's going to be just nice to just feel a bit normal and see, a wicked lineup.
This is it. I mean, I know Hannah's obviously had to delay it twice because of everything that went on. And I was fortunate with Just Push Play. When we had it, it was like 3 weeks after the restrictions got lifted. So we were really lucky that we didn't have to pull it a second time as well, man. So yeah, I feel for Hannah. I know what it's like. So
well, she's done well with it. Like, considering it's impressive, really impressive, and luckily, she's bowing.
Say goodbye, Hannah.
Yeah. So I think it'd be nice to finally have the festival and be playing it.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. It's storming lineup, and it's just going to be
it's
I'm looking forward to seeing set, man. Like saying that little teaser you put up just whet the appetite, but.
Well, hopefully, I'm going to discuss it with everyone and make sure I can get the thumbs up. But I'm going to look at doing a release for it, and I think I want to get some kind of video or something kind of visual in place for it. But if not, I'm going to just be putting out the audio with the static because we're working with a logo design at the moment to try and get the right logo, because I want it to represent a lot. Like, I don't want just a token slap in the face logo. I want something that has a lot of meaning. So fingers crossed, is my plan is I'm going to be putting out this track in the next month or so.
That'd be great, man. Well, as soon as it's out, I'll be spinning it on the show, man. I really.
I'll do that. That means the world.
No worries. But so obviously, it's like we saying, it's been a real personal album for you. Have you got the artwork in mind to kind of reflect that, or is that sort of whenever you're going down? Or
I don't know. I don't think I'll ever put my face on it. I think I'm looking at album. I think what it'll probably just be the band name and then the logo, just to kind of establish that a little bit more. I don't want to get too introspective on the artwork or anything.
Let the music do the talking a bit.
Yeah, kind of like I want something cool that feels quite tangible. I've got a particular CD case in mind that's also 100% eco. I mean, obviously apart from the
Oh, cool.
CD, but the whole thing. But it's not a digipack. It's a more unique
Oh,
thing.
cool.
So I've got to message the company to see if it's still possible, or they can do it the way that I'm hoping to. But it should be really freaking sweet because it's like completely recyclable and no
That's really
plastic.
cool. I like that, man. That's really
Yeah, so I want to print CDs, but I want to try and do it in a way like I don't really like the jewel cases. I think
no.
they mostly through shipping they always end up getting a bit smashed up
Yeah.
anyway, and then you end up chucking a load. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. So fingers crossed. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be planning to do. But I don't think it'll be too. I don't want it to say too much because then I just feel like it's almost too aware of itself as a visual aspect. It feels almost too melodramatic.
Yeah. I say sometimes it's just about getting the, like, for want of a better term, the brand of it being,
Yeah, I think so. Like not like a sad face emoji or like, me looking all like somber in the background or something. I can't do it.
You're too smiley, mate. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But you kept yourself busy in lockdown. Obviously, you launched Black Feather Jewellery as well, and
Yeah, that
really amazing, man.
Oh, dude, like, thank you. I mean, it was really meant to be a lot more of a side project than anything else, and it really just started off pretty chill. Like in January 28th, it opened last year, and it started off pretty chill, just a bit of fun on the side. But it just, I don't know whether it was just because I did a bit of research before about the right SEO and the right tags. It just started picking up, and I think sort of we're close to 9,000 sales now, and that's in just over a year now, and it's completely life-changing. It's wicked. I mean, it's amazing, and it's still quite hard to fathom, but now we've got an office for it all, and we're starting to work in an office space now, and
that's cool.
So it's wicked, and it's nice to be working on new designs. Like my next thing is I want to get in touch with bands and do something unique for bands, because I think I think streaming's taken away, like platforms like Spotify and stuff like take away a lot from artists, and I think it can almost take away the value of music. So a lot of people now are buying unique packages from bands, and bands are being really clever about offering unique things, and I really want to provide them with something that's completely unique, like like a pendant with a logo or something that's a bit interesting that I know fans will get behind and want to
definitely
get. So that's next on my agenda.
That's cool, man. I mean, like you say, there's you're getting the sort of the artwork and the vinyl package and sign package and that kind of thing, but that's cool to add another angle to it. I know, just as a music fan, if I can buy direct off the band rather than buying off of Amazon or wherever, then I'm going to do that. So.
Totally. And like like a pendant of like a band that you like or like keychain and stuff. Like I know I do it, and it just isn't there yet, and I've got the facilities to be able to do it. I'm like, well, let's do it. So I think I'm talking to the bands at the moment, trying to figure out if that's something that they're interested to, and like planting the seeds where I can. But right now the company's just taking care of itself as it is, which is great, and it's saved me a little bit. I think I realized I put all my eggs in the musical basket, and realizing the smallest thing can stop it all from happening, and am I prepared if it does? And like I said, for a period of time I was ready to just call it on music and just step away to just for my own health's sake, because it was nothing positive was coming from it. I was like, well, do I have anything I can do? And I'm like, well, luckily I made a company that can save me if I need to.
So when you got to the point of recording, obviously the stuff that you were doing for the Dead Collective, were you still in that headspace I want to take away? Was it just a record you were purely going to do for yourself as such, without any intention of releasing it or necessarily?
Yeah,
you already changed your mindset at that point?
I think I just did it because I should. For a while I think I did it because I'm like, oh, I like the songs, like I should put them down. And so really it wasn't, I didn't take it as seriously until it started coming together sonically a bit more. And I think it was the last few songs that really pushed me over the edge, because some were already recorded, but then there were songs like Haunted was one of the last songs that were recorded actually.
Was it the first ones that you wrote though, but sort of thing? Or?
Yeah, it was the first one that kind of finished writing like lyric, everything, and it felt like quite a complete song. And it's one of those songs that the melody on the verses and the choruses, everything was just completely fluid. Everything, the arrangement, the chords. Sometimes you have to dig in a bit more to get a song to give you something back. It's just one of those beautiful moments of songwriting where it gives you everything.
Yeah.
And so I think that's when I started taking it more seriously. I think up until then, the other bits that were kind of re-recorded, like we had drums recorded from like a year before, just some bits. And I think because it was meant to be more of a casual side thing, but then yeah, I wasn't really sure whether I was going to be releasing it when it started getting towards finished, because I wasn't sure if I was really capable of digging in again, because it felt like starting again. And I was a bit like, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to, because it's 24 hours. Like when you start a band and you start things from the ground up, you've got to dig in and live and breathe it. And I wasn't sure if I was capable of doing that again.
Yeah. So with that, when was the sort of moment of clarity of going, no, this is a project that I want to put more of my time into, rather than it just being, like, so you say, like the sort of side project that it was going to be initially?
Man, I think it's probably when I finally finished mixing the whole record, and when I listened to it through. I think I didn't believe in it until then. I was just still hesitant. But I think when I finally put it on a SoundCloud link for my management to hear, and said like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. And originally we were going to be discussing about calling it Oli Brown.
Yeah.
And then it had another name as well. And at that point I was like, oh yeah, just there's nothing really too committed. And then I think when I had a SoundCloud link, I was like, it's Oli Brown, the Dead Collective. And the Dead Collective has its meaning to me as well, because really, like, it is it came from a collection of songs when I was in a very dark headspace.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of points in the title for me. It's not just a band name, it's like, which is okay to have as well.
Yeah.
But that, I guess that's when I knew I wanted to be serious, and that's when I knew I wanted to dig in again. And I think there's less conflict in my head about it, and now I've got more settled with Black Feather Design, the jewelry company. I'm ready to put my money and put my time back into where it really matters and where my heart really is.
Do you think that's I mean, it's difficult for me to say because obviously not been released yet, so I've only had that sort of little snippet. But do you think obviously it's a real, like we're saying, it's a real personal record to you, and obviously you were processing a lot of stuff with mental health and everything while you were writing it, and you think that's why you had to look back on it rather than being excited in the time? It was like a processing thing at first, and you were not seeing the wood for the trees, so to speak. You were too busy dealing with obviously emotions and everything else that was going on.
Yeah, I think it was hard digging into some of the songs. I think it was there were some unpleasant times. I think working through lyrics, I think Haunted definitely was a bit of a bittersweet to write about. And I wanted to. I feel like when I'm writing songs, for me, I make peace with certain things.
I can understand.
It helps me find closure. So there are, and all of those songs offer that in some way. And I think, I think while I was writing it, I really was in still a very dark place. And I guess maybe there's more of a relief to be on the other side of that fence. So I can hear these songs and kind of look at it back reflectively and go, I'm aware of the situations. I won't let those other things happen in my life again. I have better tools for managing it. So yeah, maybe that's what it was. And maybe, I guess, because I was just involved in it and I was having to hear these songs again and again and again, it felt like I was reliving events again and again.
Stuff and getting hit by it over and over again.
Yeah, and I think especially when we started finalizing the lyrics, because what usually for me when I'm recording, I think for most people, is that the vocals are the last thing that go on when you're recording an album. So you're writing them and then it's singing them. And because I'm mixing it as well, I'd take all my vocal performances and then I'd be comping the ones that I like. So usually for people that don't know, like you would do, you record your vocals, you'd record maybe like, for example, 5 takes of a verse, and then you pick put together the right sounding verse. So I think it was, it wasn't pleasant to go through, to just, I do feel like I was forcing myself to stay in a headspace that I didn't want to be in anymore. But
yeah, I can understand that having to dissect and sort of microanalyze each bit over and over again. It's going to have its impact on you, to say the least.
Yeah, and especially when you sing it, like it's not like theater, but like you want to feel those things again. You want to to make it
Yeah,
believable.
bring that emotion across in the songs and everything.
Yeah, and then when we did the string version of Haunted, it's like it brings a different attention to it because it's very much just acoustic and vocal again. It's, I don't know, like it's going to be weird singing them live. I think the first gig is either gonna, you know, I think it's going to be great. I've never had songs kind of have so much consequence to me that I'm aware that they're going to have an effect on me every time I sing them. And I think and that's a good thing, you know. I guess it makes it believable and means that I'm, you know, doing something. I'd say the closest song to me from the Ravenlight camp would be Eternity on the album Nova. Was about the loss of a family friend, and that would definitely get to me live. And you know, we've had some wicked moments where, you know, people sing it back and then it's really overwhelming. So I think, yeah, I'm excited for singing these songs, but it's going to be weird reliving them again. But you know, I'll get over it and, you know, see a better side of it.
I think that's one of the things, though, is that once you put those songs out there, in some respects, because people will also gain, there's myself, I've had things with mental health. I'm sure I'll pick up things from the record, and anyone else who's been through similar experiences will interpret them from their own, you know, standing in their own shoes. So in a way, once they're out there and you've processed it, they're not, in a way, they don't belong to you anymore. They belong to the audience, you know, and how they're going to interpret them and everything else.
Totally. And that's the great thing about art, is that, you know, it's so interpretive. Like everyone can interpret it their own way, and you don't ever want to make anything too literal for anyone because you want them to have their own connection with something. And what was nice when working with Jo Quayle on Strings and Haunted is that she read it from a completely different perspective. We sent the lyrics and she said, oh, it's, you know, for her it was a song of hope, and that's how she perceived it. And I'm like, well, that's wicked. Like I didn't want to tell her too much about what it was because I wanted her to put her spin as a player, because she's a very clever with her touch on the cello, and she puts so much emotion into it. And I've actually filmed the whole recording process of that song as well. So along with the release of the string version of Haunted, there's going to be a little, you know, video documentary of the whole thing. And
I was going to say, is that something you're going to release so people can see that process?
Yeah, totally. So I've filmed all the footage and when she was, all the parts she was playing, and like from the process of doing the demo and everything. I just like, if we're going to do this version, I want to record every process of it so we can share that, because I want to do with the string version of, it's so hard to talk about songs that aren't out. I feel so bad, like I'm like, but with the string version, I want to do something special for the release, and the money go to the right place for the string version rather than to me.
Is that going to be separate to the album then, the string version?
I think so. I think my intention is to do an EP called the Solitude Sessions, and basically that's where it is 4 songs from the record that are completely kind of rewritten with string, with nice. Jo Quayle and myself. Just because I can, I guess, really, because I really want to. And the songs can do a lot more than just being a rock song. And so I want to do something. I want to keep on writing and keep on offering different, you know, content. I think now, especially in this day and age, I think music's, in the nicest way, a lot more disposable. I think people want to hear things more and more. So I want to create, you know, things, but not do the same thing again. I don't want to just do, you know, a covers record or, you know, a covers interim thing. I want to do something where I feel like I'm challenging myself creatively, which is where the EP, the Solitude Sessions, will come in and be different versions of some of these songs.
That's cool, man. Do you think, like, obviously with lockdown, you had that extra time to work on the songs? Obviously, normally, you know, Rave and I were pretty heavy on the touring side of things. And any sort of thing you would work for, you were down to a bit more of a tighter time scale, I guess. But do you think that you had more time to, you know, let these songs grow and grow in other avenues and try and explore down the synth lines that you were saying about? And
I think so, man. I think what happened is because it wasn't serious, because it was meant to be more casual. There wasn't that like must get done, must fit this quota, must be done by this deadline. It was very just like, am I in the mood for it? Yep. Let's do, studio's free. Superfly Studios, where I recorded the whole thing. It's like, oh, it's free these days. All right, let's go in. Then because that living situation changed for me, I lived with Wayne Proctor for a period of time, and they took me in their house, and so we were next to the studio. So sometimes when the studio would finish their sessions at like 5, we'd like, right, do you want to do some vocals tonight? I'm like, okay, let's go in the evening and do it. And maybe because that timeline wasn't as strict, it was very much just well, let's have a listen to it more. Like, what else can be mined from it? And I think that definitely helps shape the direction of the record by having that time to really think about things rather than fitting in, right, are the drums, bass, guitars, and vocals done? Cool. It was like, all right, the drums, bass, vocals, and guitars are done. Let's listen to this. What are we?
Yeah, what's missing from it?
Yeah,
we build on.
Totally. And that's all of a sudden when the record just became so much more than just, you know, what it was originally meant to be.
That's great, man. Dude, I can't wait to hear this album. I really can't. So what other than the sort of obviously the release and obviously the shows at Heretic Fest and Stillhouse Live, what does the rest of the year hold for you, dude?
Well, the rest of the year, like, definitely we're looking at sorting out some touring for the Dead Collective. The release as well is going to really dominate that and kind of dictate where we're really going with it all. And then in between that, I'm working on the Solitude sessions. I'm working on these string versions with Joe Quayle at the moment. We're just talking about doing the first track off the record, which is going to be mental. I'm really excited. I'm really excited about doing that a lot because, like
you can tell, man. You can tell how excited you are. It's nice to see. Yeah,
it's nice to feel this excited. Like, I really was done. I remember having discussions with Hannah actually, and just saying, you know, like maybe I'm, you know, I want to step out and just kind of be at home more and just not dig in. And so it's nice to be in a positive space where I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I'm excited about it. And, you know, obviously Black Feather Design, the jewelry company, is doing really well, and I love it. I love Gothic alternative jewelry, so it's wicked to kind of see it grow. And I've got loads of plans for that company, and we're just moving into looking at contacting a lot of shops and starting to have jewelry displayed in actual retailers as well.
Cool.
Which is, so that's the next step for that company, which is
nice, man.
Oh, it's wicked. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love, you know, I mean, customer service on Christmas was an absolute nightmare. I mean, people were vicious.
Yeah, I was saying to Hannah, my wife Jo, she's an artist, and she had someone message her. It was either the 22nd or the 23rd of December, really late in the evening, and then moan at Jo that she couldn't get a commission art piece done for ready for Christmas Day.
Oh man, people are mad. I mean, I loved it. We definitely weren't prepared enough for it. We sold out like within the first week, really, which is a bummer. So, like, I mean, great, but you're like, oh, I should have been more prepared. But you don't know, it's first Christmas, you know.
No, exactly. You can't sort of guess that, can you?
But I mean, the amount of people that order like on the 23rd and expect it, it's like, we're not Amazon, like, you know. But it is funny. I mean, I love it, and you know, you only get the occasional dope that doesn't quite understand, you know, that you're
get that in every walk of life, though, don't you? You're going to get that wherever you go.
Yeah,
there's always going to be one.
Yeah, the world is full of idiots. You're going to encounter a few on your work.
And I'm sure Hannah's had them at Heretic Fest. I know I've had the occasional one at Just Push Play, but 95%.
But they're the best stories. You never talk about the nice customers. You always.
No, that's the thing, you don't. That's the problem.
It's like, yeah, you got like all these great reviews, but then the ones that stick with you, you know, you're like, oh yeah, but that person. Like, we have one person that we now use as like a reference of like, if it's that bad, we mention that person's name. It's like, yeah, it's that person's name bad. Like,
this is a level.
Yeah, this is how serious the level it is. This person's name. I don't say the name because it gives me shut. It's like Voldemort now. You can't dare mention his name because it'll give us the cold shudders.
I like that. That's cool, man. Oh, but well, thanks for your time, Oli, man. It's been great to talk to you. Normally, at the end of the interview, I will obviously air whatever the artist is promoting, but obviously, you've not released anything yet, which is cool. But what song from your back catalogue would you like us to air at the end?
I'm trying to think. Probably want it to be more of a rocky. I mean, Animals is probably the latest one from Raven Eye, and that was from the record that, like, the record of hell, where it's like probably not going to come out. But that would probably that's the most recent record, and that's one that I mixed and produced as well. So like that's probably the one that of a recent recording that I'm proudest of.
Yeah, all right, man. We'll go with that then, dude.
Wicked, dude.
Thanks, Oli, man. Appreciate it.
No worries.
Cheers, buddy.